It seems like everywhere you turn these days, there's some new thing about artificial intelligence.
Right.
Like it's in our cars, it's in our, creative tools.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. But I don't think many of us have really stopped to think about how this technology might intersect with something like faith.
It's true.
Something so personal.
Yeah, and it's a really fascinating question when you get down to it. And one of the things that we're starting to see is this idea of sacred intelligence.
Wow.
And it's not so much that AI just being used by, religious folks, but it's more this idea of it actually being like
Yeah.
a partner in your spiritual share,
And that's interesting.
providing these totally new ways of, understanding and connecting with your faith.
Yeah. And that's actually exactly what we're diving into today.
Right.
So you shared a transcript with me from a YouTube channel called Authentic Reflections.
Yes.
And it's from their video called Sacred Intelligence, Partnering with AI for Spiritual Growth.
That's right.
And so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into this idea.
Absolutely.
Really exploring it. And just so everybody listening knows, our mission today isn't to say that this is like the only way to think about this.
Yeah.
It's really more just to kind of explore what possibilities and new perspective this opens up.
Right, and to see how this particular source suggests that AI can be used to improve our understanding of, scripture
Okay.
and to build stronger communities,
Yeah.
and even give us new tools for personal spiritual growth. It's all about understanding how technology could become a part of your Christian life.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about this whole idea of sacred intelligence. Now, to me, I don't know about you, but when I first heard that, I was kind of like, wait, those two things don't really go together?
I know, it's kind of like oil and water in a way.
Yeah, like they're almost contradictory.
Yeah.
But this transcript that you shared really tries to, frame this whole intersection of faith and technology as a huge opportunity.
It does.
What do you think is like the core of this whole idea?
Well, at its heart, it's really all about shifting how we think about AI.
Okay.
So instead of thinking of it as just another tool, just another app on your phone, or even as like a potential threat, which some people think,
Right.
it's really this invitation to consider embracing AI as an ally,
Okay.
as a really powerful partner who's kind of walking alongside you on your faith journey.
So it's more than just like convenience then.
Right.
It's really about changing how we engage with our faith in a really fundamental way.
Exactly. And the transcript really emphasizes this potential for kind of reimagining how we engage with Scripture. So it's not just reading words on a page,
Yeah.
it's going deeper than that.
Right.
And it also suggests that AI can actually play part in making our connections within our church communities even stronger.
Okay.
And give us new ways to kind of interact and support each other.
Now, this is where it starts to get really interesting to me because the transcript starts talking about these AI-enhanced Bible study tools.
Yeah.
And I feel like most people listening probably have like a Bible app on their phone already.
Probably, yeah.
So what's the difference here?
Well, the difference is that these tools that we're talking about are powered by AI.
Okay.
And they're not just limited to, the basic functions like searching for keywords or highlighting verses.
Gotcha.
What sets these tools apart is their ability to provide us with much deeper and personalized insights into Scripture.
So like what could AI actually do with those texts?
Well, think about it. Like this AI algorithms can analyze huge amounts of data.
Yeah.
And that includes biblical text,
Okay.
commentaries, theological discussions, historical context. And they can do this all in a way that would take a person, weeks or even months to do on their own.
I see.
For example, let's say you're studying a particular passage in the Bible. AI could really quickly surface not just the verses that are related to it, but it could pull up all different kinds of scholarly interpretations.
Wow.
From different denominations and time periods, highlighting thematic links that you might totally miss if you were just reading on your own.
Okay, so it's really about finding these hidden connections and layers of meaning.
Right, and it can even help us to see how different parts of the Bible are connected
Okay.
in ways that we might not have thought of before.
Yeah, that's going way deeper than just searching for a keyword.
Right, and the transcript even talks about how this could actually help pastors as they're preparing their sermons.
Really? How so?
Well, the source says that AI could be super helpful because it could give pastors a much richer understanding of the historical and cultural context surrounding a particular scripture.
Okay.
And it could identify recurring themes that pop up, in different books of the Bible. And it can even highlight connections to current events that might not be obvious.
Wow.
And all of this could lead to sermons that are much more engaging and meaningful for the people who are listening.
So it's not about replacing the pastor's own study and interpretation.
No, not at all.
but more about giving them a wider range of information to work with.
Exactly. It's like giving them a more complete foundation to build on so
Oh,
they can then combine that with their own understanding and connection to the congregation.
right.
And for you, as someone who's listening to the sermon,
Yeah.
this kind of AI power could totally transform how you study the Bible on your own.
Okay, so how would that work?
Well, imagine having access to these personalized insights,
Yeah.
cross-references that are based on, deep thematic connections, not just similar words.
Right.
And all of it tailored to how you learn best,
Wow.
and even the questions that you're thinking about.
So it's almost like having a theological tutor in your pocket.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And the transcript emphasizes that this technology could actually help us to feel safe enough to explore the questions that we have about faith,
Mm-hmm.
even the difficult ones,
Yeah.
And it can help us to see things from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives us the resources that we need to figure things out on our own without feeling judged.
That's really cool.
It is.
Okay, so the discussion then shifts to AI and Christian meditation practices.
Yeah.
And, when I think of medication, I think of, like, disconnecting from technology.
I know.
So this is kind of interesting to me.
Right.
How could AI actually make stillness and reflection better?
Well, according to the transcript, the key is personalization.
Okay.
So AI can actually create guided meditation sessions that are designed just for you,
Oh, wow.
based on your individual needs and what you like.
So how would that work?
Well, imagine sessions that actually change as you're doing them,
Okay.
based on things like your breathing or your heart rate.
Okay.
Or they might focus on certain verses or themes from the Bible that are really relevant to whatever you're going through.
So it's not just some generic calming voice.
No, it's much more than that.
Okay.
It's like having a personal meditation guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the transcript highlights how these AI meditations could even use specific biblical passages or prayers that are designed to help you deal with whatever challenges you're facing.
Interesting.
And it's not just for individuals either.
Okay.
The source even says that this could be really good for churches.
How so?
They could offer guided meditations that are focused on things that the whole community is going through together.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Bible study, we've talked about meditations,
Right.
and this whole idea of, like, tailored experiences keeps coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And the transcript also talks about this idea of personalized faith-based content.
Yeah.
What other kinds of content could AI curate for us?
Well, it could be all sorts of things.
Right.
Things like sermons, devotionals, articles, music.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it would work is that AI would kind of analyze what you're interested in
Okay.
by looking at, what you click on and what you read.
Okay.
And then it would recommend things to you that it thinks you'll really connect with.
So, for example,
Let's say you're always reading about social justice issues.
yeah.
AI could then recommend more resources about that topic.
Okay.
Or if you find that you really like parables,
Mm-hmm.
it could recommend different interpretations of those stories.
That makes sense.
So it's like having a guide who really gets you and knows what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's like having a spiritual guide in your pocket.
That's a good way to put it.
The transcript says this kind of personalization could really make our faith journeys more meaningful.
It does.
How so?
Well, when you're getting content that speaks directly to your needs and questions,
Yeah?
you're way more likely to pay attention and really engage with it.
Right.
And that can lead to a much richer and more fulfilling spiritual life.
And this could even impact the church community as a whole too, right?
Right. So when people feel like they're seen and understood
Yeah.
and they're getting resources that are just for them,
Mm-hmm.
it can strengthen their connection to the church and create a more supportive environment where everyone feels valued.
So far, we've been focusing a lot on personal growth,
Right.
but the transcript also talks about how AI can actually help build community within a church.
Yeah, that's right.
So how can algorithms really bring people together?
Well, the source talks about how AI-driven platforms could create new ways for people in a congregation to connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And those connections would be based on things they have in common,
Okay.
like shared interests or needs, or even where they are on their faith journey.
Yeah.
So, for example, imagine a platform that makes it easy for people to have small group discussions about specific parts of the Bible.
Okay.
And it connects people who have similar questions or who are going through the same kinds of challenges in life.
So it's kind of like using technology to break down some of the barriers that can keep people from connecting in larger communities.
Exactly. And that can help to build a really strong sense of belonging.
So it's not just leaving things to chance.
Right.
It's actually creating opportunities for interaction and support.
That might not happen otherwise. And the transcript actually talks about the problem of isolation that can happen even within churches.
Yeah.
And it suggests that AI could really help with that
Okay.
by creating these spaces where people can encourage each other,
Yeah.
grow together, and support each other. And it could also make it easier for people to share prayer requests and testimonies,
Okay.
which would make everyone feel more heard and appreciated.
So then the discussion goes into some pretty futuristic stuff like AI-powered worship experiences and even evangelism.
It does.
And this is where it feels like things could really change,
Right.
like in a big way.
Yeah, the source talks about some really interesting possibilities here.
Okay, like what?
Well, imagine music that's powered by AI,
Okay.
and it actually changes and adapts to different parts of a worship service,
Wow.
which could make it more emotionally powerful for you as you're experiencing it.
Yeah.
And what about visuals that are projected during a sermon that actually bring the stories and teachings from Scripture to life,
Okay.
making them more engaging and memorable?
And I'm guessing the personalization element comes in here too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So AI could be used to figure out what kind of music a congregation likes
Yeah,
and even personalize certain parts of the service.
that's really interesting.
Right. And the goal would be to make the experience more meaningful for everyone who's there.
And what about this idea of AI and evangelism?
Well, the transcript says that AI could be used to analyze data about a community,
Okay.
which could then help churches to better understand the needs and interests of the people in their local area.
Uh-huh.
And that would allow them to create more targeted and effective outreach programs.
Okay.
So it's about breaking down barriers and reaching new people in ways that feel relevant to them.
Makes sense.
And the source also talks about how AI could change the way we do Bible study,
Okay.
turning it into more of a dynamic conversation.
Yeah.
And it could also help people to feel a deeper connection with God through these guided meditations.
That's it.
And it could even be used to create platforms that make it easier for people to connect with each other and build community.
Okay.
So there are a lot of exciting possibilities here.
Okay, so the last big topic that the transcript covers is this idea of spiritual growth analytics,
Right.
which kind of sounds like a fitness tracker, but for your faith.
It does a little bit.
What does that actually mean?
Well, the idea is that AI tools could track things like how often you pray,
Okay.
how often you read scripture,
Mm-hmm.
and even what you write in your personal reflections or journal.
Yeah.
And then it could use that information to give you feedback and recommendations to help
Yeah.
you identify areas where you might want to focus your energy when it comes to growing spiritually.
So it's about using data to make us more aware of our spiritual habits.
Exactly, and to encourage us to be more intentional and mindful about our faith.
So it could help with accountability then,
Right.
and maybe even deepen our relationship with God.
That's the idea.
Okay.
The transcript suggests that this kind of personalized feedback, along with these faith-based materials that are tailored to your needs,
Yeah.
can help us to connect with our faith on a much deeper level.
And this data could also be helpful for the community as a whole, right?
Right, so by analyzing all of this information over time, it could reveal important insights that could help both individuals and communities to grow in their faith.
Wow, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it's pretty clear that this idea of sacred intelligence opens up some really interesting possibilities about the role AI could play in Christian life.
I think so.
It definitely gives us a lot to think about.
It does.
You know, as you think about all of this, what parts of your own spiritual life do you think might benefit from technology like this?
Well, that's a good question.
It's a conversation that I think is really just beginning.
I agree. And if anyone listening wants to explore these ideas further, I think the Authentic Reflections YouTube channel would be a great place to start.
It's definitely something worth checking out.
It
Well, thanks for joining me for this fascinating deep dive.
My pleasure. It was a great conversation.
I think this is going to be a topic that we'll be revisiting again and again as these technologies continue to develop,
I think so too.
and we'll see how they shape the future of faith.
Definitely.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.